In the boundless river of Dharma, compassion is like a bright lamp illuminating the path to liberation for all sentient beings. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, with boundless compassion and vows, seeks to alleviate suffering and universally deliver all sentient beings. However, worldly people often cling to external forms, neglecting the true essence of compassion. Under a special karmic condition, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva revealed to a group of devotees fixated on the form of worship the profound meaning of true compassion, elucidating the three qualities that a compassionate being should possess. What exactly are these three types of dispositions? How can one truly practice genuine compassion in daily life? Long ago, on the cliffs of Mount Putuo in the South Sea, an ancient temple stood serene, the sound of pine waves still resonating. A wealthy gentleman named Huixin entered this monastery. Although she worshipped the Buddha and burned incense daily, she was proud and arrogant, harsh to her servants, disdainful of the poor, and even intolerant of her own mother-in-law. She firmly believes that by making more prostrations to the Buddha and offering more offerings, she can receive the protection of the bodhisattvas. Huixin, carrying a large sum of incense money, hurriedly walked toward the main hall. Suddenly, an elderly jade person accidentally fell on the steps. What bad luck! With a discerning mind and furrowed brows, he passed by old Jade with aversion and continued onward. At that moment, a young bhikkhuni hurried forward, carefully supporting the elder Jade, gently brushing off the dust from his body and earnestly inquiring about his injuries. Inside the main hall, incense smoke entwined, and the sacred chants resonated deeply. With a mindful heart, he knelt before the solemn statue of Avalokiteshvara, devoutly chanting sutras and making prostrations. Venerable Master, I have a matter that I do not understand and wish to seek your guidance. A tender voice broke the silence within the hall. A young novice monk is consulting the abbot of the monastery. The abbot is a venerable elder bhikkhuni with a compassionate and kind demeanor, carefully arranging the offerings on the altar. No harm in speaking, the abbot's voice was gentle and kind. The disciple saw that many people came to the temple every day to worship the Buddha, chanting scriptures, yet their words and actions contradicted the compassion advocated by the Dharma. Why is this so? The novice monk's face was filled with doubt. The abbot did not answer directly, but instead asked, "What do you think is the purpose of worshiping the Buddha?" The young novice reflected for a moment and replied, "It is to learn the Buddha's wisdom and compassion, so as to purify oneself and benefit all sentient beings." So, what do you think true compassion is? The host further inquired, a question that not only plunged the young novice monk into deep contemplation, but also drew the attention of everyone present. Even the wise mind engaged in worship paused reciting the sutras and listened attentively. At that moment, the atmosphere inside the main hall suddenly became solemn and reverent. The lotus on the altar appeared as if imbued with life, blossoming with unprecedented radiant beauty. The incense smoke spirals gracefully from the censer, gathering in the air to form a cloud of auspicious vapor, enveloping the entire great hall. The golden statue of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva emits a gentle and sacred radiance. Everyone gazed in astonishment at this incredible scene. Only then did Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva slowly begin to speak. Sentient beings often say, "I am greatly compassionate and merciful, seeking rebirth to end suffering." Yet they frequently do not understand the true meaning of compassion. All the people inside the hall knelt on the ground in terror, not daring to look up. With a heart full of wisdom, he trembled all over with excitement, never having imagined that he would be so fortunate as to witness the Bodhisattva manifesting divine presence with his own eyes. The voice of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is melodious and compassionate, like a spring breeze caressing the willows, soothing and comforting the hearts of sentient beings. I see many people who come to the temple daily to pay homage to the Buddha, reciting compassion with their mouths, yet their hearts are filled with attachment and discrimination. They believe that lighting incense, burning paper, and making more prostrations constitute compassion, yet they do not realize that these are merely external forms and not the essence of compassion. This sentence was like a bolt of lightning, striking the heart of wisdom instantly. He recalled his usual conduct, the consistent severity toward his servants and the cold disdain for the poor, and immediately felt a burning wave of shame upon his face. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva continued, "True compassion does not lie in outward forms, but in the nature of the heart. Just like those true practitioners who may not recite sutras or bow to the Buddha every day, yet manifest compassion in every moment and every place." An elderly practitioner asked tremblingly, "Bodhisattva, what exactly is true compassion? How then should we practice in order to possess true compassion?" Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva smiled gently and said, "Let me tell you a story. In the time of the Buddha, there was a prince named Devdatta, who was the Buddha's cousin. Although Devdatta also practiced following the Buddha, his heart was filled with jealousy and hatred. He was jealous of the Buddha's wisdom and reputation, and always schemed to harm him. On one occasion, Devdatta attempted to assassinate the Buddha using poison. He knew that the Buddha traveled along a mountain path every day, so he concealed a deadly poison on that path. As the Buddha was passing through a mountain path, poison suddenly erupted, transforming into flames, intending to devour the Buddha. However, the Buddha did not feel fear. Instead, he treated Devdatta with compassion. He reached out his hand and gently touched the flame. The flame immediately went out, transformed into beautiful lotus blossoms. Tiber Thado, witnessing this scene, became even more jealous and enraged. He believed that the Buddha used sorcery, so he gathered a group of people intending to stone the Buddha to death. As the Buddha was passing along the mountain path, Devdatta and his companions rolled down huge boulders from the hillside. However, the stones suddenly halted in midair, transforming into lotus flowers that gently fell beside the Buddha. Tiber Thado, upon witnessing this scene, was utterly despondent. He knew he could not overcome the Buddha's compassion and wisdom. He felt deep remorse, knelt before the Buddha, and implored the Buddha's forgiveness. The Buddha did not blame Devdatta. Instead, he treated him with compassion, advising him to let go of hatred and cultivate loving kindness. Although Devdatta ultimately did not completely relinquish the evil thoughts within his heart, he recited Namo Buddha before his death, thereby planting the karmic seed for future liberation. The story of the Buddha teaches us that true compassion means treating even evildoers with a compassionate heart, striving to transform them, helping them abandon lustful thoughts, and guiding them towards the light. After Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva finished telling the story, the shop fell into complete silence. Filled with remorse, the person lowered their head, tears silently streaming down. He finally understood that what he had been pursuing all along was not true compassion. The voice of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva continued to resonate within the hall, for compassion is not spoken but enacted. Compassion is unconditional love, a caring concern for all sentient beings. An elderly pilgrim, with a touch of confusion, softly asked, "Bodhisattva, I am dull-witted. After hearing your teachings, I understand that compassion does not come from seeking outside, but arises from within the heart. However, I still do not know how to begin so as to truly cultivate this compassionate heart. This question seems to touch upon a long-buried secret, often elusive to proper understanding. Perhaps now, the manifestation of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is precisely the moment to reveal the true essence of compassion. With a discerning mind holding its breath, the heart was filled with both anticipation and a touch of apprehension. He faintly sensed that the Bodhisattva's forthcoming teachings would completely overturn his previous understanding of compassion and guide him onto an entirely new path. At this moment of great anticipation, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva's compassionate gaze swept over the crowd and slowly said, "You tirelessly seek compassion, yet often overlook that true compassion is not distant or unattainable. It has long been hidden deep within your own hearts, merely obscured by various afflictions and attachments, unable to manifest. The manifestation of this compassionate heart requires the nurturing and awakening of three qualities. The first type of nature is the mind of empathy. The voice of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara is gentle yet resolute. It is not mere compassion, but the profound empathy that deeply understands and internalizes the suffering of others. When you see others suffering, you should be able to empathize deeply, as if you yourself are enduring the same hardship. To truly cultivate compassion, one must deeply understand their circumstances and empathize with their feelings." The Bodhisattva continued, saying, "Many people, upon seeing beggars, simply give some money and consider it done, but they never stop to consider why these individuals have fallen into such circumstances or what hardships they have endured. Some people say a few words of sympathy when they see a sick person, but they never truly empathize with their suffering or understand the fear and despair within their hearts. This is not genuine empathy. True empathy is the ability to put oneself in others' shoes, to feel their suffering, and to strive to help alleviate their pain." With a wise mind, he recalled his usual harshness towards servants and contempt for beggars, feeling overwhelming remorse in his heart. He never truly cared about their lives, never considered their feelings, merely condescendingly dispensing some money, mistakenly believing that this constituted compassion. The second nature is boundless great compassion. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva's voice is even deeper, giving selflessly without expecting anything in return, caring indiscriminately without distinction between near or far, like sunlight illuminating the earth without bias to any place, like spring rain nourishing all things without neglecting a single blade of grass or tree. True compassion is the equal and unconditional care for all sentient beings, regardless of race, nationality, or social status. Many people are kind only to their relatives and indifferent to strangers. Some people, when helping others, are always calculating gains and losses, constantly thinking about what benefits they themselves can receive. These are not true acts of compassion. True compassion is selfless giving without expectation of return. It is love that transcends blood relations and is an altruistic dedication to all sentient beings. An elder asked, "How can a bodhisattva practice boundless great compassion without conditions?" We ordinary beings often find it difficult to dispel selfish thoughts and distractions. How can we genuinely treat all sentient beings with equality? Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva replied, "One must understand the principle of the equality of all beings. All sentient beings possess Buddha nature and are future Buddhas. Although their appearances and statuses differ, their essence is the same. They are all beings endowed with the potential for enlightenment. When you truly understand this, you will naturally be able to treat all sentient beings equally and naturally generate boundless, unconditional great compassion." The third nature is skillful wisdom. The voice of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva resounds and awakens the deaf. This requires not only a compassionate heart, but also the wisdom to express compassion skillfully. Sometimes, giving selflessly can actually harm the other person. True compassion lies in understanding how to help others in appropriate ways. It requires adopting different methods according to varying circumstances to genuinely benefit all sentient beings. Just as with a greedy person, directly giving to them may foster their greed, making them even more insatiable. Excessive help towards a lazy person may cause them to become more idle and lose their ability to be self-reliant. True compassion involves wisely guiding others to correct their faults, helping them establish proper values, and cultivating their ability to be self-reliant. This is genuine assistance. The discerning mind suddenly recalls the way it has treated the mother-in-law. He always indulged in providing material comforts, but never truly cared about his mother-in-law's inner needs, nor ever considered what she truly required. He thought that as long as he gave his mother-in-law enough money, it would make her happy, but he neglected the loneliness and solitude in her heart. The voice of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara continued to resonate, stating that these three qualities cannot be cultivated merely by worshiping the Buddha. One must practice diligently in daily life, constantly reflecting upon oneself at every thought and intention, and embody compassion in every word, action, and behavior. Be more understanding when interacting with others, be wiser when handling problems, and be more selfless when helping others. Only in this way can one truly cultivate a compassionate heart and genuinely become a compassionate person. From that day onward, the heart of repentance was completely transformed. She no longer clings to daily prostrations before the Buddha, but instead devotes more time to caring for others. She began to understand the hardships of the lower class, empathize with her mother-in-law's loneliness, and assist those who truly needed help. She no longer bestows charity from a position of superiority, but treats everyone equally, sincerely caring about their lives. Gradually, Huixin noticed a profound transformation occurring within his state of mind. She no longer becomes irritable and quick-tempered as before. Instead, she has become peaceful and tolerant. He no longer dwells on petty matters, but has learned to cultivate tolerance and understanding. What surprised him most was that the people around him also began to change, and the entire family became harmonious and warm. The elderly woman no longer felt lonely, and the attendants held him in greater reverence. This teaching by Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara has become an important guide for practitioners in later generations. He tells us that true compassion lies not in form, but in the heart, not in appearance, but in authenticity, not in momentary gestures, but in enduring presence. True compassion is unconditional love, a care for all sentient beings. Today on Mount Putuo, this ancient monastery still stands tall. Whenever the sea breeze blows and the waves roar, it seems one can still hear the teachings of Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara. He is reminding the world that the true essence of compassion does not lie in prostration, but in practice. Every wholesome thought marks the beginning of compassion. Every act of giving reflects the manifestation of compassion. May we all begin with ourselves, cultivate compassion, benefit all sentient beings, and ultimately attain perfect enlightenment. True cultivation lies not in external forms, but in the awakening of the heart-mind. May we all let go of attachments, transcend dualistic distinctions, approach all sentient beings with compassion, and resolve challenges with wisdom.